Okay, so let's continue building our little layout here. And by all means, you guys can change wherever you want your crossbars and or your horizontal and vertical axes to be created. We need some body copy to go in here. Body copy is where you usually put your main story. So the body copy is usually 5 columns wide. So let's turn this back on so we can actually see it. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. So let's go in and get a text box. And we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. And let's stretch this down a little bit longer because, usually we're going to tell a whole story. And so we're going to right click on this and we're going to fill it with placeholder text. Fill with placeholder text again. But we want all of this body, sorry, I'm going to be inside of here. We want all of this body copy to be very similar to this. So I have this all selected. So I'm going to come over here. Actually, we got to let go of this. I want to change this eyedropper to this eyedropper because I want it to capture this. But if you have it turned on and it's got the color picker on there, then it's going to try to change the whole box to that same color. So let's go ahead, now that we've got that changed to that, we're going to go in here and inside this text box, Control A to select everything. Go back and select this color picker and we're going to click on this text and it's going to make all of this that we have selected the same as this over here. So it's just the same, but the only thing that we want to be a little bit different, we're going to take this and we're going to change the font. So it is, let's say 9 point on 11 or on 12, so we can read it a little bit better. Light is okay, but let's go ahead and make it regular. We do not need space after the paragraph, and we want it to actually be flush left. We don't want it to be dependent on the spine. We want it to be just plain flush left. So then we're going to go to the paragraph. We still want the hyphenate to be turned off because no place in your book do we ever want this to be hyphenated. So then we're going to take off this extra space here. We're going to make that 0 points. And then we're going to add this little indent over here. And we're going to make this, it's kind of like making it a tab. So we're going to add that in there. We're going to click tab on there. You see this little indent in here. Let's see, what else does it want us to do? Oh, we might want to put on this very first paragraph. Let's go ahead and just leave. We're not going to do a drop cap on it today. Drop caps can be found over here. Here's where you can put this drop cap if you want to do something like that. But you would take this indent off of that. So if you want to do that, that's up to you. So we're going to create another body copy is going to create a new paragraph style. So we're going to click plus. And here's your new paragraph style. So we're going to call this body copy. Okay. So there's that. And let's go ahead and make this continue and fill the rest of it with placeholder text. Where did it go? There it is. All right, so now there's our body copy. Now, again, if your teacher decides that they want you to do a whole layout thing over here, then that's totally up to them. So let's add a couple more pictures because we always like to have more pictures, right? I'm going to take this over here because it already has the format that we want with the line and whatnot, so we can be able to see what it looks like. Again, hold down that Alt key. We're going to click and drag. We're going to put it right up over here on this corner. And we don't want it to go beyond this whole thing. You can. It just kind of looks a little wonky. So we're going to go with that one there, and then I'm going to bring another one over here. But remember, we want 3 columns to be able to do our body copy, or to do our caption copy. So I'm going to click this one over here, and I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller so I can do the same Alt and duplicate over here with this. Alt, duplicate. I'm going to bring it over here. And remember, this block of copy is set to be flush to the spine. So watch what happens when I drop it over here. The one over here on the left is jagged on the left. This one is going to be jagged on the right. And we only need 2 because we're over here. So let's go ahead and get rid of this one. That space up into there. Click Escape takes us out of the text box, and I'm going to bring this guy back up into here. And so now, this is what we're building with our layout. So we've got a little bit of space over here. We'll be able to put a little bit of headline. I'm going to take this picture frame over here, and I'm going to duplicate it over here, right over here. Now, the challenge that we have is that we need another caption. So we've got 1, 2, 3, but the thing that we're missing is we don't have a headline. So maybe I don't want to put that in there, and I want to delete that, and that's how you get rid of that. You can either hit delete, do Control Z on this so you can see it, or you can hit backspace. Either one of them do the same thing. But to get rid of it, you have to have it selected to tell InDesign what it is that you want to get rid of. So we've got that set up. So what do we want to do for a headline? How do we create that headline? We're going to put a text box right up here in this top corner. We're going to click and drag. We need to leave some space down here for a subhead. So what do we want to call this? Maybe we're going to call it Nature of Wheels Point. Now I'm going to do Control A to select all of this. I can go up here to my text up here, and I can make this super big. I can do that, or I can do Control Shift, and then you do the greater than or less than symbols, and it makes it bigger or smaller. And just so you know, that goes across pretty much every application. Google Docs, Google Sheets, Microsoft, all of those work with that same thing. Okay, so now we have a headline, but I don't want it to be black. Let's change the color. Here's the color, the fill color of your text. Here's an outline of your text. So I'm going to go with this is our colorful theme that we pulled up. I'm going to go with the green because I've already got the pink color over here. And go with that darker green so it pops a little bit. But maybe I want to add a drop shadow to it. Drop shadows, I'm going to take these two character styles. I'm going to put those over here, and I'm going to drop those back over in here and put them in that box. Effects is where we find how we're going to add a drop shadow to this. So even though you go into effects right here, you still have to click on this little FX thing down here. So we're going to add a drop shadow. And there you can see what it looks like. So I want this to open up. And I think it's on my other window. So let's go to our properties. Window. And it's not going to do it. So it's over on my other window. So we're just going to have to hang. I'm going to have to splice this video. Okay, sorry about that. My window for this was stuck on one of my other monitors. It was not turned on at the moment. So here we have the effects window. We can change the opacity to however big we want it. And we can change the angle wherever we want it to show up. And you can change the noise, makes it fuzzy. I don't usually use noise, but spread makes it how big or how thick we want it. And we have the X offset, the distance. This is how far away from it is. So if you want it right up on top of that, and change that angle just a little bit to do that little drop shadow. Maybe want our spread to be a little bit tighter. You might have to go in and tell it a certain percentage. Maybe you want the size to be a touch smaller. and the nature of Will's Point. There it is. There's all kinds of different things you can do. I encourage you to explore all these different kind of things. Maybe you want the type itself to be bevel embossed. That makes it kind of look like it's chiseled. So for now, I'm just going to leave it at that, and you can change yours to however you want it to be. So let's check the W and see what it looks like. Looks pretty nice. So we can continue with this. Go back to my W, and I'm going to click my V on my keyboard that gets me to my selection tools. And you can double click on this, and it makes it close up that text box. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to put another text box underneath here. This is going to be maybe my subhead. And let's call it, usually you don't write your subhead and your headline, just so you know, until after you've written your body copy, but it's just a bunch of what's called lorem ipsum text. So there isn't really any point in there. Nature, don't use the same word, we're going to call it outdoor scenery on the side of Wills Point High School. I'm not going to say that this is a quality headline, considering you shouldn't use the headline and the subhead in the headline. So, but let's change the color of this one, and we're going to make it one of these other colorful colors. And we'll make it the color of the butterfly. All right. So I actually want to play with this a little bit more, the nature of Will's Point. So I'm going to take this nature out of here. I'm going to cut that out, change this and drag it over here. I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to really pop that nature thing. So T is my text box. And I'm going to paste that in here, and I'm going to make it big nature of Will's Point. And all right, so this guy right here, we can make an object style. So we can go to Window, Objects and Layout. Styles, Object Style. And I'm going to add a new object style. Take it way over here. Sorry. Now that I turned it on. Text, Drop Shadow. And I'm going to say OK. So I'm going to take it over here, and I'm going to click Text Drop Shadow, and there it is. Dropped it right on there. So nature of Will's Point. And maybe try to make this bigger and see how much bigger I can make it without dropping it all the way off the page. I have a little bit more room. Turn back onto my thing over here and see what my grid gives me. And let's take this over here. And now we've got a nice little magazine-ish kind of like layout. All right, so we've got several other different pictures that we can put over here. I'm going to take these styles over here, and I'm going to drop it back over here in between. Close that guy off. What else? Okay, so we have a little bit of open space over here. There's all kinds of different things that you can do with this. This is technically our horizontal, our vertical axis. We shouldn't really have anything that jumps over the top of this, but I'm okay if this breaks that rule. This is also now starting to make it turn so it looks like this could be our horizontal and vertical axis, and then our body copy falls over here. So you can go in and you can put other little captions, so to speak, over here, or you can put little body quotes. I'm going to go in and use little circles. So if I circle down here, let's look to see what our grids are. Use the V to get my object again. And I just want to show you a little bit about how this Pathfinder thing works. So let's play with that just a little bit. So I have the Pathfinder, or I have the square, created the circle. So now I'm going to create this square. And I'm going to come in over here so it's exactly the same size. I don't know if it's dead on exactly. It is not. So let's resize that a little bit. Yeah. I'm telling you, zooming in on these things makes things all the better. Okay, so there's an align tool, and here's your align tool. I'm going to align these so they're both centered to each other. So they're pretty close anyway. And then you can do it to the right. You can change it so it aligns to the page. So look what happens if I go to the page, if I center it to the page, if I'm going to do Control Z and bring them all back to each other. You can align it to the selection to a key object. You can tell it, no, I want that to be the key object and center the two of them together. There's all kinds of different things. This is another one that we use a lot in Yearbook. I'll show you how to do that here in just a second with the distribute space. All right, so let's take these two objects together. Notice I did not have to select over the whole thing. I just had to grab the two of them. So now I'm going to use the Pathfinder, and I'm going to squish these two and mash them together. So this now makes it so that I can drop a picture in here, and I'm going to go and File, Place. This is how you add an image, File, Place. Let's put, usually I would put like a person in there, a text box, but let's go ahead and put this picture in here. And remember, we've got to get a hold of that picture, and the picture is really big, so here's another way to be able to get this picture to confine into that box. You right click on there, go to Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionally. Okay, so now it takes this picture box, this is the height of it, and that's the most that it can give me. So it's going to go right there. Okay, so sorry, I didn't tell you how to do this one. Control spacebar lets you zoom in, but a control spacebar and the Alt key lets you zoom out. Okay, so if we have that one, we might want to put a little bit of body copy that goes with this. So I'm using that Alt key again to drag this thing down here. And I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to take this out, and I might just make this just a little bitty, make this centered. So I'm changing all of this text on here to what it was originally on that text box. So I'm going to take these two together, hold the Shift key down and grab that one. I'm going to use the Align tool, align the two of them centered. Okay, it's centered to the page and send it to the selection. Center those together. And then I'm going to do Control G and group them together. Okay, so then I'm going to use that Alt key again to duplicate it. And then I'm going to do it one more time to duplicate them together. And then I want to bring the two of them. I want this guy right there on the bottom. Let's make them so they're all aligned to the edge. But we want that top to be right there. We want them to all have about the same amount of space. We don't want this text to go outside that purple line. Right there. And then we're going to take the three of them. So I'm going to click and drag around the three of them. And this is where this distribute comes in. Notice the space between here and here isn't exactly the same as here and here. But this distribute, where it distributes the vertical space, makes it so they're perfectly aligned. Okay, so now I can go in here, I can change this. Interesting way to adjust this. Here's the links panel. Told you we would come back to this one. So these are the 3 times that this shows up. Pull this guy down here. If this does not show up, you can just double click on this and it makes it go away. Double click on it, makes it come back. All right, so I want to change this image. So if I'm clicked on it in the links panel, this highlighted one is that image. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to relink it to a different image. So I'm going to go back to my RAID, the storage, and to the April photo shoots, and I'm going to go back into mine because I'm not sure what the other kids have. All right, so I have some of these, and I put it on the wrong one. Try that again. Relink. There we go. All right, so there's some more flowers of the side, and so we can right click and go. Nope, sorry. We want that image, and we're going to take that one and relink it to something else that we've got over here. Hey, maybe it's not right. All right, and It is over here. There we go. And I'm actually going to enlarge this. I'm going to hold shift. And if I hold shift, it enlarges it this way. If I hold shift in the alt key, it enlarges it from the center. So I'm going to bring that right back over there. Okay, so here's how you do the layouts. And by no means does your layout have to look just like this. Just make sure that you have a horizontal and a vertical axis and just drop your pictures in there. Every picture needs a caption. Every picture also needs a photo credit. Let's go and look at how we put photo credits on here for yearbook. Anytime we do a photo credit, we use a text box, obviously. I'm going to click over here and make it real small. And it thinks that I didn't do it. So all right, so then it butts up right next to that. I'm going to show you real quick how to make it so it aligns right to the center. All right, so right now it thinks it's 12 point. We're going to change this and make it 6 point. Now blinking for us again. We make this in all capitals, because you just never know what letters are going to fall below the line or not. Okay, so I've got this eyedropper on here. I'm going to grab this font. I'm going to click there and go to that font, but I want it again. I want it 6 point, and I don't want it to be flush together. I want it to be flush away from the gutter in this case, because we always put the photo credits on the outside edge of there. We also want this text box to be centered. So we're going to double click in the text box, right click on it, and we're going to go to text frame options. And we're going to make that align to the center of the box. Let's say OK. And Control 0. All right, so hopefully you remember how to duplicate something. Alt, click and drag. We're going to take it down here and butt it right up against that one. Take it again, Alt, click and drag, butt it up against there. And then we're going to take it over here and put it in there. This one will go up the side of the page if you hold the shift. Let me show you how to do that again. Your text box, you get right up around that corner, you're still hovering over it, hold the shift key down and you click and drag it up and it moves it right up there. And then we're not going to caption those or photo credit those, but let's go get this one over here. Alt. Okay, that one's going to go there, but it needs to go away from the spine. All photo credits go on the outside edge of the page. And Control Alt 0. And there's your page. So hopefully you'll create something that it does not have to by any means look like this. I hope it doesn't look like this, but I hope you explore, you play, and get to know this. And I promise you, those text boxes or those images inside that text, those image boxes will be frustrating. So don't get too terribly upset about it. Just kind of get used to playing with it so that you know how it works. Now, as I'm looking at this picture that's very blurry, I know it's really high res, so I want to show you one more thing. If you go to View, Display Performance, High Quality, give it a second so it can load up the high res pictures, and there you have it. So have fun, and hopefully you figure it out, because I'm not in the